There have been reports of strange creatures in the area.
Witnesses say they couldn't believe what they were seeing.
What is that?
Welcome, beloved fofers, doubters, naysayers, non-believers, and skeptics. Welcome to Paranormal, Fable, or Fact. I am Victor Trevino, joined by my co-host and beautiful wife, Tammy.
We are your humble guides to tales of alleged hoaxes, unbelievable stories, and the overall strange.
Sweet. Gotta mention the email, pfableeffect@proton.me, the Facebook,
Yes.
and
YouTube. Subscribe.
yes, and also this show. Well, do we go over the gist? No, we go over the rules. The rules. Rule number 1: we will never purposefully mislead or report false information ever.
Rule number 2: we are not professional podcasters, broadcasters, or audio editors, so mistakes will happen.
Absolutely. Rule number 3: everyone is entitled to believe what they want and entitled to their own opinions, including us.
Rule number 4: we are offering information and insight as food for thought, not persuasion.
Yes. This is going to be very interesting, baby, this show, because basically we're going to go over how other countries celebrate Christmas.
Okay.
And that's going to be it. And it's just a Christmas bonus special, kind of.
Okay.
I was going to name it Bonus Christmas Special, but instead I named it Christmas Holidays, which I like better. Because then it covers the Christmas
And the holiday.
but also the holidays that some people get all bent out of shape about for some reason.
Yes.
I don't know. But anyway, there are different ways to celebrate Christmas, and in fact, not all countries celebrate the same tradition. Some may seem extremely outlandish to us, Western culture, and some of our listeners, but when I really thought about it, I'm sure other countries that aren't familiar with our Christmas traditions are probably kind of freaked out to hear about us believing that elves live in the North Pole and,
Yeah, I was thinking that.
you know,
honestly.
build toys for this
Yeah.
fat dude that throws a big sack over his back and jumps on this sleigh with flying deer and sneaks into people's houses through their
Yeah.
chimneys and then leaves them presents.
A perfect example would be the latest craze is in the last 5 to 10 years is the little elf dolls that the parents put out, and you know that's a newer tradition.
What is that anyway?
Is it so the elf comes down and watches you and reports to Santa? So it's like a snitch, I guess.
Oh, is it like
I don't know.
Is that like the elf on the shelf or
Yes,
whatever?
that's what it's called.
That's
I don't know the whole
That's
thing.
what it's for?
Yeah, I don't know the whole thing because our kids are grown. But
Oh yeah, we don't have
Yeah,
kids.
we don't.
But so you put it on a shelf.
no, you put it in. You'll have to look at.
Well, why do they say elf on a shelf if it's not on the shelf?
Oh, that's how the little story started.
Oh.
It comes with a little book.
And it watches, so it's the tattletale, the snitch.
That's what I think it is a little snitch, but whatever.
Snitch to Santa. That's funny. Yeah, that's a weird tradition too.
But the kids love it.
I don't think that's as widespread as.
No, in America.
Is it?
Oh, I think so in America, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I didn't know about those. We should have wrote that one down. That would have been cool to talk about. I didn't do any research yet. Well, anyway, let's move on.
Well, my whole point is that that's odd.
Yeah.
You know, it's odd.
Yeah. Other people that don't have elves on a shelf heard that and they're like,
Yeah.
they do what now?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to go over some traditions in some of the other countries. I'm sure there's more out there, but we just wanted to cover them real quick. Some of the more, I guess the more popular ones, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what you would, and
Yeah.
then you did most of the research for the show, which is very interesting.
Yeah. Well, because I wanted to do like a Christmas special, and then you were talking about Santa Claus.
Okay, did you research and find all this?
No, it
or did you
popped
just
up-
go to one?
No, it popped up on my little, like when I go on a little website to go to my emails, it just popped up on there and it said, these look at the traditions of
Also, it was
Christmas
like a
and winter.
blog or something you got it from?
It was, yeah, kind of.
Okay, I hope I don't get...
No, it wasn't really a blog. It was just like,
Well, I changed most
it
of the
showed
wording.
pictures, you know what I mean? It showed pictures of
Oh, okay.
the different traditions around the world.
So we're going to start off with Iceland.
Okay.
And there's a blend, apparently, of Christmas between religious and regional folklore when it comes to Iceland in this particular tradition. Traditions like gift giving are familiar in Iceland, but instead of a single Santa Claus figure, the Icelandic traditions, the Icelandic children, I can't read.
The Icelandic
Children are visited by 13 troll-like creatures known as the Yule Lads. Now, I did a little more investigating of this because I wanted for my own sanity, because I was thinking, because I've heard the term before, just like I've heard the term Yule Cat, or Yule, what is it? Yeah, Yule Cat,
Yeah, Yule
right?
Cat. Mm-hmm.
But I never really looked it up, so I actually looked it up, and apparently, over the last 13 nights before Christmas, these Yule Lads come one at a time. They all look different, because I guess they're brothers. Are they brothers?
I think so.
I think they are.
Yeah.
They all dress different. They all have their own personalities. They all have their own pranks. And what they do is they basically go around and punish bad kids by giving them, or playing pranks on them, or mistreating them. Or good kids, they'll give them like little treats or gifts. And that's the tradition in Iceland. So they'll either give them treats or gifts if they're good, or they'll steal from them, which is like a prank. They'll actually take from the kid, or give them
goodness.
rotten potatoes.
Oh, yeah, I did
Is
see
the
the
other part
rotten
of the prank.
potatoes.
Yeah, that's terrible, isn't
Yeah.
it? Imagine that. Moving on. The city of San Fernando is known locally as the Christmas capital of the Philippines. So now we're going over to the Philippines.
Okay.
Thanks to a competition featuring these colorful, glowing, ornamental lanterns called paroles. Now, when I first started reading about this, I'm like, that didn't sound familiar at all, parole. So I basically looked it up. And it's kind of like a 5-pointed star wreath. For people that aren't familiar, of course, Filipino people are like, well, yeah, what are you talking about, you doof?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that don't know what paroles are.
Right.
So I looked at pictures, and I'm sure people can go and look pictures of
Yeah.
them. It's basically spelled like patrols without a T.
Mm-hmm.
Paroles. And it's basically like a, it looks like a wreath, but it has a five-pointed star in it, and like, usually like streamers, like paper streamers and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And they're made out, it looked like they were made out of
Like
paper.
paper lanterns.
Yeah, basically. They're like lanterns.
Right.
That's what parole
Yeah.
means, is a lantern. Did I say that? I
No,
didn't say that, did I?
but well, we got it in there.
Well, you got it in there. Well, anyway, yes, they'll put light now. Now they use normally electric lights, probably for fire safety
Yeah,
or whatever. But traditionally, I believe they use candles. Yeah, and then they have villages across the region. They carefully construct and display these huge paroles that are almost 20 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like the whole thing suspended or it's actually sitting on the ground almost 20 feet tall.
Right,
that would
right.
be a massive one if you
Yeah,
think
that
about
would-
that.
yeah, that would
That's
be
like a
really
2-story
big. Yeah.
house, man. But they display these for thousands of onlookers. And this festival began in the early 1900s, but really took off in 1931 when the city finally got electricity.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Well, yeah, because they didn't have to worry about lighting
Yeah,
fires, you know? I mean, paper, lanterns, and flames just
Yeah.
don't, not a good combo there. This celebration is usually held the Saturday before Christmas Eve, and that's when they do it. So, moving on. One of the less cheerful Christmas legends is the story of Krampus. I was thinking of doing a show on Krampus at one point, but now that it's become like popularized more, because they actually made like a movie out of it and all kinds of people covered it. I think it's a newer celebration. Well, I think it's an older celebration in Europe, but it slowly became bigger.
Right.
I believe it's in Austria, isn't it? The main celebration is in Austria. It became bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, it became like a Mardi Gras down there, basically, like a huge party. Oh. And they would all dress in these scary costumes, trying to look like these demonic Krampuses. And it just became big and exploded and started spreading through Europe. And then, inevitably, of course, it came to America. So America started observing it, and everybody was talking about it, and then they started making movies about it. Basically what it is it's like this demon that goes around with a basket and a switch, beats on kids that are bad and throws them in the basket to eat them if they're horrible.
Oh, goodness.
And traditionally he hung around with Santa Claus. So Santa Claus went to the good kids, yay, patted them on the head and gave them gifts, and Krampus like beat on them and threw them in a basket, stole them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so terrible. But I guess now it's like more of a festive thing. He's not looked at as such a negative character. Traditionally he was, but now not really.
Yeah.
Now it's more of a celebration.
A positive way of
him. He basically just threatens, and scares people with the switch and the basket, but they don't really hurt anybody or anything like that. It's just another way to persuade children into behaving good around the holidays, to be on good behavior. Yeah. It's just another way like that. Yeah. But apparently there's like awards now that they'll reward people for the best Krampus costumes and stuff like this. And this is, I believe it's in Austria. So, and there's like parades and everything now. Wow. And that's how they celebrate. That's one of the traditions they celebrate in Christmas in Austria, which I think that's
interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Then in some parts of Germany, Santa Claus generally still takes the appearance of the traditional Roman Catholic bishop, St. Nicholas, which is a point of contention for me, but I'm not going to go off on that now. Because I've been doing some research. We'll just talk about it real quick. I've been doing some research, and I'm finding, because originally this show was supposed to be on Santa Claus, and everything that I looked at kept saying, oh yeah, it's based on St. Nicholas from, the 4th century. Oh, he's this patron saint of this and patron saint of that, and it's based on St. Nicholas. And so I start looking up St. Nicholas, and there's no match. There's no gift giving, no mention of children, no mention of any of that. I mean, he's the patron saint of kids, but that's it. The connection is really flimsy. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure why there's so many things that I run into that says it goes all the way back to him. But I mean, the day of St. Nicholas' feast isn't even observed by the Catholic Church anymore. They recognize it, but it's not something that they celebrate. It's optional.
That's interesting.
Even the countries that we're going to talk about, because there are several countries that still celebrate it, it's only regional. It's small, localized areas that still observe it. He's not officially observed by the Catholic Church, but he's where all this Santa Claus stuff came from. It doesn't make any sense to me. So that's why we didn't do the Santa Claus show, because I had to change everything up. And then you came up with this, and it was like, oh, this is perfect.
Oh, okay.
Because I was running into a lot of speed bumps, because it didn't match up, and I didn't want to upset people by challenging it. What I mean?
Right.
But I'm finding it. We are definitely going to do, eventually we are going to do a show on it, though, because, and hopefully I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. Yeah.
Maybe next Christmas.
We might not even wait till Christmas. We might just do it because it's
Christmas in July.
It's something that's bugging me. And when stuff bugs me, I just can't let it go. But anyway, moving on.
Yes, moving on.
It's still recognized, and this is one of the regions, and again, like I said, it's just in parts of Germany.
Okay.
The St. Nicholas Day, which is, I believe it's December 6th. Kids prepare for St. Nicholas's arrival by placing freshly polished boots and carrots for the bishop's horse outside of their doors. And there it is, December 6th, St. Nicholas Day. The bishop goes from house to house with a book describing the children's deeds, which is very similar to Santa Claus, the naughty or nice list or whatever.
Yes.
And then, depending on whether the kids were naughty or nice, of course, he either fills the boots with something good like sweets or something not so good like twigs. So, not coal, but twigs. Mm. I mean, I guess twigs aren't very good either, huh?
No.
What are you going to do with a twig?
They're not.
So moving on. Mm-hmm. The Sea of Lights marks the start of the Christmas season in Colombia. And I actually looked this up. It's really cool. They put these lights in the middle of the streets and everything.
Oh, wow.
And on the sidewalks and everything. I mean, it's just like That's why they call it the Sea of Lights.
Nice.
Which is really cool. And it's celebrated on the day of the Immaculate Conception, December 7th. I guess, I don't know if it's a Catholic thing but certain, and this isn't the only South American country that recognizes the day of the Immaculate Conception, because this is when they believe Christ was conceived by the Virgin Mary, you know.
Oh, okay.
So they observe that day, and it's December 7th, I guess. So this is what I was saying. Inside and even outdoors, people light everything with these paper lanterns that are lights, and it's really cool looking. Matter of fact, I might use that as the picture for the show.
Oh,
That'd be
that's
really
interesting.
cool. And votive candles, and baby, I'm telling you, they'll line them down the streets, the sidewalks, everywhere. They put them everywhere. It's really cool looking. But anyway, it's called. They'll even put up these massive column-like things that are candles.
Wow.
To observe this.
I wonder if that's where we got our Christmas light tradition.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's probably based on something like that.
Something like that, huh?
It's based on the Yule log.
Yeah.
Because the Christmas tree with the lights burning on it was symbolic of burning the Yule log, which was the pagan belief during that time. I believe it's the winter solstice, I think, or something. But anyway, I didn't really go into that. But it's called Dia de las Velitas, which is the Day of the Little Candles.
Oh, okay.
So it's really cool.
Dia de las Velitas.
Velitas, yeah.
Good.
And this one's really weird, baby. Moving on. Cagatillo in Catalonia, Spain, is likely one of the most unusual Christmas traditions, to say the least, because cagatillo is a log, usually painted with a friendly face, and I actually looked at it. Yeah, it's like a flat-faced log, and they'll put like a little nose sticking out of it, and they'll paint it like it's smiling with the big eyes and stuff. And apparently, children will place food in front of it, like fruit or nuts or something in front of the cagatillo.
Okay.
And they'll come back the next day and there'll just be shells there, or peels.
Oh, okay.
You know, because cagatillo eats it.
Yeah.
So then, after cagatillo eats the food and leaves back the scraps, as a show of gratitude, cagatillo then poops out presents and candy, usually toron, which is a classic Spanish nougat, when the children hit it with a stick and sing this traditional cagatillo song.
Oh,
and it's funky because they'll kind of prop the log up off the ground with the face, and they'll have a big blanket over it.
Yeah.
And then after they feed it for a few days, they'll flip the log backwards with the butt sticking up instead. There's no like butt painted on it or anything.
Yeah, just the back of the log.
But the kids will go over there and beat on the back of the log, like they're spanking it or something. And then they'll lift the blanket up, and there will be all the treats for the kids, and the kids will, sing the song while they're beating on it, and then they'll get their treats.
Oh, that's interesting.
Very, very interesting. Now, the thing is in Spanish, I don't even know if, caca is Spanish for, it's a vulgar way of saying crap or poop. But, more of a curse.
Yeah.
So I think when they say caga, they're changing the word enough to where the children can sing the song without cussing. I believe. Because Tío also, they kept saying little log. Tío is not log. Tío is uncle.
Yeah.
So they're basically saying crap uncle or poop uncle. It's their poop uncle. Basically.
Interesting.
Yeah, is what they're saying. So, moving on. One of New York City's most enduring Christmas traditions. I looked this one up too because I didn't know what when I was reading it. I didn't understand what it meant. It's on a WPIX. I don't know. I guess that's a channel. And what it is it's basically a recording of a Yule log burning, and it'll be played on a loop for hours.
Oh wow!
And they do it every year. I guess they did it all the way up from 1966 all the way up into like the late 70s, early 80s or something. And then for some reason, they canceled it, but then the people of New York, I guess, complained or whatever, and got it back on televised. And I guess they still show it now.
Oh wow!
Because during the original, and this is just a little just a little information to throw out there. During the very original broadcast back in 1966, embers from the fire, I guess, lit like a $4,000 rug on fire.
Oh shoot!
So it's like a big old stink or whatever.
Wow.
So it was refilmed in 1970 and remains the version that revelers have watched every year since.
Wow, that's interesting.
So I guess the original one was like this front burning and people put it out and then, or they cut it out and did the loop or whatever, but then they refilmed it.
Yeah.
And that's what people watch today, which is, and again, that's just a localized thing.
Yeah, that's localized. I've never heard of that.
I never heard of that. People watching.
But we're not from the east side.
But we do have stuff like on Netflix where you can actually put.
Oh the fireplace.
The fireplace and it's burning wood and it makes like the fire noises and stuff.
Yeah.
And plays like you can play like Christmas music and it's like it makes your house seem like it's heartwarming, like you gotta, know. So I guess it's kind of like that. I can kind of see that. Plus in New York, in December.
Yeah.
Probably freezing cold, So anyway, moving on.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about a Welsh tradition next called, it's looks like it's Mari Lwyd. Mari Lwyd.
Okay.
Is what it looks like it would be pronounced as, but it's and I did the pronunciation with you,
right?
And it's actually like Aviargwyd, or something like that. Remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was? That's pretty close, huh? It was a Aviar something.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, what it is basically, what it translates into is gray mare.
Okay.
Like a female horse. And what they'll do is they'll take a horse's skull and paint it. Sometimes using like glass for the eyes and putting intricate antlers on it and stuff, or they'll paint the horse skull like bright colors or stuff. And sometimes they won't even use the skull; they'll use like a fake skull, stuff like this.
Okay.
And it's dated all the way back to like pre-Christian pagan, some kind of pagan tradition. But every time I tried to look up where it was based from, it was kind of like this weird, like I don't know, like people don't know where they originated from. But they still observe it.
Well, that's interesting.
In certain parts of Wales, and basically traditionally the skull was designed to like open. They'd put like a little lever activated mouth or a little pull bar, where they could open a mouth, and that's where you would put your offerings or whatever. And it would deliver the gifts back to you because it's a person. Oh. Basically, at the base of the skull is like a blanket hanging off it, right?
Oh, okay.
And it's a stick underneath the skull, so it's somebody hiding under the blanket operating the stick. So they're walking down the street. Like people, they used to act like horses and they're covered.
Yeah.
And there's two guys under the horse. One of them's operating the horse head. Right. Kind of like that, but one person.
Okay.
One person operating the horse.
Okay.
And this Mari Lwyd, and I'm sorry we're pronouncing it wrong. If you're Welsh, please don't stop listening to the show. We don't speak Welsh. They put reins on the skull, they put bells on it, and they'll go door to door with the skull and basically challenge their neighbors to like this insult battle. Oh. And whoever wins gets the treat, apparently. Yeah, it's described as a festive rap battle.
Oh.
So I guess in Welsh...
It gives me like the white elephant vibe.
Kinda, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like when people do the white elephant where they give the gifts, they're goofy gifts and then you pass it around and then...
It's just very odd because when I think of like the festivities of the holidays, a horse skull...
Yeah.
It just doesn't pop up, you know? But, again...
But
it may seem strange to us.
They do animals. They paint animal skulls colorful for Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, but that's not Christmas.
Yeah, I know. I'm
trying to think of something that we do during Christmas that would be equivalent to that. And
I don't think anything.
I'm not thinking of anything now. But anyway, we Americanized Christmas anyway. We took like probably a lot of different beliefs and made it into our own tradition.
Well, yeah, because our country, America, has a lot of different cultures, yeah. And that's how we came together as different cultures.
And I think that's basically what it is. It's an amalgam,
100%.
A mixture of like all these different traditions.
Of course, yeah.
So this next one in New Zealand was very interesting because it's a tree and they called it a crimson flowered kiwi tree, Pohutukawa tree. Really beautiful tree. It looks kind of like a bonsai tree, but they're huge.
Oh, okay.
And dating all the way back to the 1800s, during a missionary report, this Christmas service was delivered beneath the boughs. And apparently there's one iconic tree that's like really ancient, and it's perched on what's called the Cape Reinga Cliff, and it's considered sacred to the Maori. I guess the Maori are the indigenous people of New Zealand. And they believe that the souls of the dead climb down the tree to their traditional homeland of Hawaii.
Okay.
So that's New Zealand's Christmas tree, is this Pohutukawa tree. It's a really cool looking tree. I'm sure that you can probably find pictures of it. But it's got these like red flowers on it. It's really cool. I don't know if they decorated or anything. I don't know, but I didn't see any of that. But anyway, so yeah, that is recognized as the official Christmas tree in New Zealand to this day.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, very, very interesting. Okay, moving on. In Portugal, many Catholics still fast. So after the midnight mass, people break the fast, which is where the derivative of the word breakfast comes from, because you're breaking the fast.
Right.
And they'll have a consoada feast. Consoada feast? I'm not really sure. This is in Portugal. So I guess it's like a food. I didn't look that up. But but that to them after
This is what it consists of.
Does it? Where?
Consoada.
Oh yeah.
Consists of meat, pudding, and traditional sweets.
Well, there you go. But that feast signals the official beginning of Christmas after they break the fast and they start to eat. And yes, as you said, it consists of meat, pudding, and traditional sweets. Sounds kind of good, huh?
Yeah, and then the participants, now I have Victor disease.
Yeah,
participants reserve seats for the table for loved ones who have passed away.
Which is a very odd tradition, but traditionally in Mexico they do the same thing on Dia de los Muertos. They observe the dead.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know in America. Well, maybe I shouldn't talk about it because it's like a totally different. But it's actually 3 days. A lot of Americans think it's just 1 day.
Oh yes.
But it's actually 3 days.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
Is the traditional celebration.
And Americans do that too, to an extent. Like if there's a fallen soldier or fallen officer or fallen.
Oh yeah.
They do that empty chair.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
Moving on, we're gonna go to the Czech Republic. And shoes are used in several cultures, but in the Czech Republic on Christmas, girls and young women stand outside their homes and they'll throw shoes over their shoulders. I guess not looking, they'll just toss the shoe over their shoulder out towards the street. If the shoe lands with the toe pointing toward the door, that means they'll be married soon. If not, they'll be single for at least another year.
Wow, and that's a Christmas tradition?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
And just think, so you probably have to flip it a certain way to try to get it.
Well, I mean, I wonder if that's where our tradition from the wedding, where the bride throws the...
Oh, yeah, the banquet. Yeah, the bouquet.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, because she throws it over her
over
back
her
like
shoulder.
that, too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but think, you have a very slim chance of the shoe actually pointing toward the door, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
So they probably just close their eyes and just fling it, right? Because
I
let's
would
just
think
leave
so.
it to chance.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, if it doesn't, if it points anywhere else, you're going to be single for at least another year. And other Czech Christmas festivities include serving carp for dinner, which I've noticed isn't just in the Czech Republic. There's actually different countries that observe carp as their official... Yeah, as their official eat.
Yeah.
They'll eat carp.
Yeah.
And they'll keep a few of the scales of the carp that they consume tucked away in their wallet for good luck.
Oh, interesting.
In the Czech Republic, yeah.
Oh, that's
It'll give you
interesting.
financial luck, apparently, is what they believe, yes. So in Sweden, an almond, or a similar small edible item, is hidden in their risgrynsgröt, which is a rice pudding. And I looked it up. It's basically like rice and milk.
Yeah.
I don't know if other Mexican families eat that, but my family, we've eaten rice and milk for... I mean, they call it horchata, the rice drink, but it's not like that. It's like basically like oatmeal, but with rice.
Yeah.
So it's like a rice porridge, I guess is what.
And you guys eat it for breakfast.
Yeah, with cinnamon and sugar.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. See, like my daddy would give us like cornbread and put butter and sugar and milk over it for breakfast.
Over the cornbread?
Yeah. Eat it like a cereal, almost like a rice pudding.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. See, I like cornbread when it's sweet.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like it, like eating it savory. I don't like cornbread savory. I like it sweet. So anyway.
In Sweden.
Yes, in Sweden, they'll hide a small edible item in the risgrynsgröt, which is the rice pudding, and it's served at Christmas time. If an unmarried person finds the almond, they will have true love soon afterwards, which is a really cute tradition.
It is cute. I
kind of like that one. What's the one where they find the little thing?
King's cake, where they find the baby.
King's cake. That's what it is.
Jesus.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then their Christmas dinner typically includes ham, sausage, herring, or homemade rye bread.
Yeah.
I don't like rye bread.
Herring, they're big at herring, yeah.
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 What were you going to say? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
It's interesting how some of these cultures, their Christmas traditions go towards love. I think that's interesting.
Whereas other traditions, the wintertime during this time was a lot of traditions, and this is something we should actually talk about more, maybe down the road, maybe when we do the Santa Claus show. But basically, what people would do is sit around and tell ghost stories.
Yes.
In fact, there's a Christmas song that mentions there'll be goblins and ghouls or whatever.
Yeah.
What song is that? I can't remember. But anyway, it actually talks about that because that's what traditionally what people did. They told ghost stories.
There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long
on Christmas Eve.
Right.
Look at A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Christmas Carol is a ghost story, and it's about Christmas.
And what I've realized doing genealogy, as long as I've done it, in the early, between the 1700s and the 1900s, early 1900s, a lot of people got married on Christmas Eve.
Really?
And New Year's Eve. And I'm thinking because family congregated together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the whole family would be there. So
religion too, probably.
Maybe.
For
I don't
religious
know.
reasons.
I don't know. A lot of people
on the eve of Jesus' birthday.
Yeah. Share a new.
See that.
Yeah. Share a new life.
Moving on. In Guatemala City on December 7th, which is the celebration of the Immaculate Reception,
Right.
Immaculate Conception, 500,000 fires are lit.
Wow,
or
that's a lot.
were traditionally lit. Now, I guess they told people not to do it for the environmental reasons.
Yeah.
But traditionally, what they would do is families would create an effigy of the devil and light him on fire.
Oh, wow.
Burn him up.
Wow.
Set it on fire and let it burn. It became so common for people burning stuff that the government had to ask the people to tone it down a little bit, because traditionally what people started doing was burning their garbage along with the devil, because,
Oh, yeah.
it's just something you did.
Yeah.
And I guess it was releasing some toxic
Toxins
into the air, so they had to tone it down a little bit. So it's still observed and people still do it, but not, I guess it's a little more controlled now, I guess, for environmental reasons.
Well, that's interesting.
But I just thought it was interesting that they created a devil and just lit him on fire. Remedios is the 8th oldest city in Cuba and the home of what's called Las Barandas de Remedios, one of the region's most popular Christmas traditions. And what it basically does, it's like a celebration from December 16th to December 26th. They have rumba dancers, conga groups, and all kinds of revelers, and they fill the streets along with floats and parades and everything else for 10 days, and they light fireworks and they just party, man.
Wow.
A 10-day party.
Celebration in Cuba.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So
It's interesting.
that's the way to celebrate.
Yeah.
Man. What can I say? So moving on. In Central Europeans, we talked about this before, they eat carp. A lot of people eat carp on Christmas. In Slovakia, the custom calls for a live carp. And what they'll do is they'll put it in the family bathtub and let it swim around in there for a few days.
Really?
Yeah. And then they don't bathe during this time, of course, because they don't want to bother their pet.
Their fish.
Their pet fish, yes. So I'm sure they don't leave it in there for 2 or 3 weeks, because then people would start getting funky,
Right? Yeah.
So it's only probably for a day or two.
Yeah.
And then what they'll do is they'll take it out and they'll take their pet fish and they'll eat
Make
it.
a dinner.
Yeah, make a feast out of
Make a
it.
Christmas meal.
Because them carp get big, man.
Oh, yeah.
There's some massive
yeah.
carp. Anyway,
That's interesting.
so in more recent years, probably because people don't want to go days without bathing and don't want to kill the fish, they just buy already butchered carp, keep it in the house for a few days, and then they eat it.
Oh, okay.
On Christmas Eve is what they'll do. Instead of killing a fish.
Probably started that when there was no refrigeration or something.
Yeah, probably way back when.
Yeah.
That's probably what it was. Okay, this one's interesting. Moving on and going to the country of Finland, 3 out of 4 Finnish families spend part of Christmas Eve in a cemetery. Yes, let me say that again, because you didn't read it.
Yeah, no, because
They spend it in a cemetery.
No, but the reason why you don't get a reaction out of me is because I really dig cemeteries. I really think they're peaceful places. I really, I have a fascination of them. I really do, and I think it's part of the genealogy thing. But I think that's where it's not, cemeteries are not for the dead. They're not for our dead loved ones. They're for us. They're for us to celebrate, us to visit, us to go communicate with them, to visit with them. They're not for our deceased loved ones. Our deceased loved ones are already somewhere else.
That's a good way to look at it, I guess. And that's basically how they observe it.
Yeah.
In
Finnish.
Oh, the Finnish families, yes.
Yeah. Finland. That would be Finland, right? Yeah, Finland.
Yeah,
Finnish.
Finland. Yeah. That's basically what they believe. It's more of a celebration than a mourning or anything to be afraid of.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, I don't know why cemetery. But it's because there's a lot of bodies there.
Yeah.
Traditionally, people are buried there, and that's not somewhere you want to.
Yeah, but
I mean, be hanging out.
I know that my grandma on my Scandinavian side, she would celebrate. Like, we would go and we would put flowers down, and then if it was Christmas time or Easter, put special flowers down. You know.
Yeah, and see, that kind of tradition is very similar to stuff that they do in Mexico too. They'll use the orange flowers.
Yeah.
And they'll observe the certain days of the and they'll remember their deceased ancestors and stuff. And so, but I don't think it's done around Christmas time though. But it's just a different observation. But it's the same thing. What they'll do is they'll light candles and they'll place them on the graves of loved ones and visit with them, or do special memorials to honor the deceased if they're not buried in the cemeteries. But they'll go to a cemetery and do like a symbolic thing.
Oh.
Basically, if they're not buried there.
Yeah.
So in Finland.
That's
pretty
nice.
cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
So in Bavaria, which is a region in Germany, Christmas is celebrated with a bang. The Bavarian Highlanders dress in their lederhosen and other traditional clothing, and they'll fire off these handheld mortars. Kind of like, I guess they're like fireworks.
Yeah.
Kind of like our Roman candles or something.
Yeah,
I don't
probably.
know, maybe. Because mortar fireworks, I don't know what they are in other countries, but in America, those are the big ones. They go boom, and they go way up in the sky. You'll see them at like the stadiums and stuff. Mm-hmm. Those are mortar fireworks. So these are handheld ones. So I guess maybe they're just smaller and not so powerful, maybe. And basically what they'll do is they'll do that. They'll light them and they'll blow them up, and that's how they celebrate, which is pretty cool. And this is in Bavaria, and they'll dress in their traditional clothing. And I guess it originates from the pagan belief that loud noises keep away evil spirits. And actually, some of the Asian cultures believe that too. The Chinese will scream if they think that their house is haunted or something. They'll scream and make a bunch of noise. Oh. In fact, there's a Chinese guy that I watch on YouTube. He's a investigator, paranormal investigator, and he just screams and cusses and just does all this crazy stuff at him. And he'll take off running and stuff. Anyway, I don't want to go off on it. But it's that belief that if you make a lot of loud noises, evil spirits don't like it and they'll stay away. That's why they light firecrackers and, that's why Chinese do that. They light all the firecrackers and the dragons and the music and stuff, and they bang on those brass drums and stuff.
Keeping the evil spirits away.
Yeah, because they're making as much noise as possible to bless their cities and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So and then what they'll do is they'll repeat the whole process again on New Year's Eve in Bavaria, which is really interesting to me.
Keep the evil spirits away from the new year.
Yeah. Bless the new year the right way.
Yeah, bless the new year, yeah.
So moving on to Ethiopia, because the Christian community is Orthodox, and I'm not really sure what that means, but I guess because they have a different calendar or something.
Yeah, maybe.
A religious calendar or something. Yeah. They celebrate Christmas nationally on January 7th. And the festivities are known collectively as Ghana, where the observers of the holiday traditionally don white robes adorned with very bright stripes and on their way to church, and many people fast, attending a mass at dawn the day before Christmas.
Oh.
So, pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of like, like a mixture of different observations,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Observed completely on a different day.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the attacks that someone was, that non-religious people were doing against Christianity. They were attacking because they were saying, "Oh, December 25th isn't even Jesus' real birthday. You Christians are stupid." Well, they know that. It's just that's the official day that they decided.
Yep, that's the celebration.
I'm not sure why.
That's the day they decided to celebrate.
Right, and it's just a mixture of paganism. It was it was an attempt to bring more people together is what it
Yes.
was, because they, like we were talking about the Christmas trees, the Yule log,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And you can find that all the way down the list.
Yes.
They know that. It's
Yeah.
not like people are just like, we don't know. We think it's Jesus' birthday. It's just what we observe.
Right.
It's a symbol.
It's a symbol.
Kind of like
exactly.
Santa Claus. Santa Claus
Exactly.
is a symbol.
Exactly.
Moving on. There you go. I knew you had to do it, God boy. No, I'm not going to do it. Yes, moving on to Italy. This is a very interesting one, and I wanted to look into this a little more, but it was kind of hard to find anything on it. But we probably will do a little more on this. I think it's in parts of Italy. I don't know if it's the whole country. It might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong, sorry, but I think it's just parts of Italy. They have somebody that comes down the chimney. They have someone that gives them gifts to the good kids and coal to the bad kids.
Okay.
But it's not Santa Claus. And it's not on Christmas, which is crazy. It's celebrated on January 6th, the day of the Epiphany. And I'm not even sure if that's like a Catholic tradition.
I think it is.
The Epiphany? What is that?
I don't.
Well, we're not Catholic, so. But basically, what brings the kids gifts and coal is called La Befana. And La Befana is a Christmas witch.
Wow.
She visits the kids, and that's who brings them the gifts, is this witch, not Santa Claus.
Interesting.
Now, here's where it gets crazy, and this is why I wanted to do a little more study on it.
Yeah.
But not so much because, then it'll take over the show. But
Right.
basically, she's described as having ember eyes, like
Yeah.
glowing, flaming eyes, sharp feline teeth, and a sharp cutting tongue.
Oh, wow.
So her tongue can cut stuff.
Oh.
Or I don't know if that means like cutting as in like slicing stuff, or maybe cutting you down like a sharp tongue,
Yeah, I don't
the
know.
terminology
Yeah.
of somebody with a sharp tongue
Right.
that can like make you
Yeah.
feel horrible or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she has soot on her face from climbing down the chimneys, and
Right.
that's how she's described.
Right.
But then another description of her is she's just an ugly, toothless old woman. But traditionally speaking, she wears rags, so she's dressed very poorly.
Yeah.
She has a headscarf.
Yeah.
She carries a broom and a sack or a basket that she carries all of her gifts in, and that's who comes down the chimney for kids.
Oh, that's interesting.
The Brothers Grimm, and this is a third description of the same La Befana. The Brothers Grimm described her as a misshapen fairy, which I thought was very interesting. Yes.
That's very interesting.
So that kind of piqued my interest, and I
Yeah.
kind of went. I wanted to go
could
further
see
in,
that.
but I didn't want to spend too much time on it because we're not
Right.
really talking about
Yeah, we're talking about these traditions.
the traditions, right?
Yes.
But I thought that character was fascinating.
Yeah, that is
And I think it's fascinating that she has so many different descriptions of the same entity.
Yeah.
But so does Santa Claus. So, moving on, in Victorian times, we're going to our buddies over there in Great Britain,
Across the pond
across the pond, yes, where they have privacy.
is privacy.
The Sunday 5 weeks before Christmas has been known as Stirrup Sunday. Don't they say when they're going to eat, they're going to tuck in?
I have no idea.
Or is that the Australians? I think that's Australians.
I have no
Where they
idea.
say, let's tuck in when they're going to eat. I don't know why I brought that up. Anyway, if you're English, please don't stop listening to us. Basically, what Stirrup Sunday is it's like a little contest. And what they'll do is they'll make traditional porridge or pudding with 13 ingredients in it to represent Jesus and the 12 disciples. Oh, there he goes again. Anyway,
This is just a tradition.
yes,
Relax,
this is just
everybody.
a tradition. Take it easy there, hey Hans. Everybody in the family then stirs up the pudding and makes a silent Christmas wish while stirring this porridge or pudding from east to west,
That's interesting.
which is the direction the three wise men went and are said to have traveled.
And this was in Victorian times in Great Britain. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what they used to do.
That's cool.
Pretty
I like
cool,
that
huh?
tradition.
And I don't know what happened if they won
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't really say that. Did it? Huh. Well, I didn't look that part up. Yeah, well, I guess they just stirred it up and just made wishes and then
Yeah. And then
kind of like blowing out the candles on a birthday cake,
Yeah,
Maybe
or
your
they-
wish came true
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah. Who
Yeah, I
knows?
guess that's what
Yeah.
it would be, huh? Just
Yeah.
making a wish.
yeah.
So then, part of Christmas folklore all over the world, there are mythical characters. We just talked about one called Krampus.
Yes.
there's mythical creatures that are, and there's other ones too. There's dark ones and spirits and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, so that's a tradition that goes along with Christmas for a very long time. This counterpart of Santa, this sometimes even a companion that travels with the Santa character, the gift giver.
Right.
And then there's one that dishes out the punishment.
Right.
Well, in this is Iceland, right?
I'm thinking it is because it's going with the Yule lads.
Yes, it's Iceland. In Iceland, they have what's called the Yule cat. Or the
Jolakotruian.
Okay, we'll go with that. Heretofore referred to as the Yule cat.
Or Jola, like they do in that one Christmas movie on Netflix.
Jola?
Yeah, the Yule cat. The one with Kurt Russell.
Oh, Kurt Russell, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll just call it the Yule cat.
Jola.
So this is a massive feline, and from what I saw of the descriptions of it and some of the illustrations of what it looks like, it's basically a gigantic black fuzzy cat, like a fluffy cat, a big black cat that stalks the countryside on Christmas night, and it will eat any child who didn't receive new clothes as a gift. So that struck me. Why clothes? What is that all about?
I don't know.
I guess in the region of Iceland, or in that region, it's a common gift. Back in the day, it was a common gift to receive new clothes for Christmas.
Interesting.
I think it goes back to like the old days where you actually had to make your own clothes.
Yeah.
So the mother or
make a scarf or
they would create new clothes for Christmas, and they would give them to the kids on Christmas. It was a tradition.
Yeah.
And give them to their loved ones and stuff. And if you didn't receive clothes, I guess that's like a sign that you were a bad person or something. So this Yule cat, so this Yule cat would show up and just eat you.
Yeah, kids don't want new clothes on Christmas.
Not anymore, no. That's the worst. You get the pack of socks. Oh, that used to irritate me. Yeah, you gotta give socks. Come on.
Or the sweater, the ugly sweater. Also, just another information on the Yule cat, or Jola, is, according to legend, owned by the Yule lads.
Yes, it was owned by the Yule lads, and that's why it's part of the Icelandic traditions. Anyway, moving on. Going to Estonia now. Christmas customs is to visit a sauna before religious services. So they'll all go to this sauna and bathe and sit in the heat and I guess jump in like hot tubs and stuff and hang out.
Oh, wow.
Basically bathing and cleansing themselves. And then that's when they come out of the sauna, they receive their festive new clothes again. Yeah. Here's another tradition in Estonia, another country, that observes getting clothes for Christmas.
Yeah.
And they'll get these festive new clothes to wear to the religious services at their church, and
just
they'll show off.
Best church.
Right, they'll show off their new clothes. Right,
nice.
And that's the tradition there in Estonia.
It's interesting.
Yeah, going to the sauna. Christmas morning, let's go, kids. Jump in the car and they go over to the sauna. In America, spiderweb decorations and spiders are generally reserved for Halloween.
Yes, they are.
But not so in Ukraine. In the Ukraine, the spiderweb is a symbol of Christmas fortune.
Oh.
They'll adorn their Christmas trees with spiderwebs to commemorate a folktale about a family who couldn't afford ornaments and decorations for their tree. As the tale goes, they woke up on Christmas to find spiders had spun beautiful webs around the tree made of silver and gold.
Oh, neat.
So people still observe that. Also, that story is also traced back to biblical, oh, you just can't help yourself. Sorry. But it's traced back to a story where the Virgin Mary was being chased by these Roman soldiers, and she escaped by going through this cave system, I guess. And spiders spun webs, preventing the soldiers from pursuing her.
Nice.
So a lot of religious people, and apparently the people of Ukraine, that's why they observe the webs as something that's fortunate. You know what I mean?
This is to believe where tinsel.
Yeah, this is where tinsel is believed to have been based on, because tinsel kind of looks like shimmering spider webs.
Yeah, it sure does. That's
because
interesting.
I looked at it myself because I couldn't figure out what I thought. I always thought tinsel was supposed to be like snow or icicles, but no, it's based on spider webs.
Huh? Interesting.
Which is interesting, huh?
Yes, very interesting.
Moving on, we're on our way over to Greenland now, baby. And at Christmas time, their tradition is to create a delicacy called kiviak. And what it is it's basically fermented. It's the fermented raw meat of what's called an auk, which is an Arctic bird. It's those little cute little white, they look like partridges.
Yeah.
And they're snow white. They're beautiful birds.
Okay.
They'll take the raw meat of that and they'll ferment it inside a seal skin.
Oh, wow.
And they'll bury it until it reaches the right peak of fermentation.
Wow.
Yummy. Right?
Yeah, that must be a flavor.
Apparently, kiviak's flavor, to people who try it for the first time, they compare it to blue cheese.
Oh, interesting.
With notes of cured meat.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess it depends on whether you like blue cheese or not.
Yeah, but if you're raised on it and, you don't know.
It's like that, what is it called? Lutefisk? Lutefisk?
Yeah.
Lutefisk?
Yeah.
Isn't that? It's like a certain shark that's like really, it's like poisonous meat, and they'll hang it out and let it rot or whatever, and dry it out.
Yeah.
And then they'll like soak it or something in vinegar or something, and then they eat it.
Yeah.
And it's like an acquired taste from what I hear.
Yeah.
Actually, lutefisk is a Scandinavian dish of dried whitefish that's been cured in lye, rehydrated, and steamed until it's gelatinous.
But anyway, moving on. We go up to our buddies up in Canada.
Okay. Yay, Canada.
In Canada, this is particularly in Toronto, revelers launch the Christmas in a full-fledged party called the Cavalcade of Lights. Kind of like that other one with the lights. And they light the city's Christmas tree traditionally, and they have a backdrop, and they have a huge bash, music, drinks, ice skating, art installments, and they put up enough lights to illuminate the entire night sky.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, and they do
Good
that.
for them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I guess it's during the whole season.
Good.
The Christmas season.
That's Christmas lights for us.
Yeah. So moving on, in Venezuela, many will dress up in Santa attire, or they'll just put on these big goofy hats, and they'll put on roller skates, and they'll skate to church while lighting all kinds of fireworks and stuff.
To Mass on Christmas Eve.
Yes, to Mass on Christmas Eve.
That's awesome.
According to legend, the children would go to sleep, because I guess it's a midnight mass or whatever. So the kids would go to sleep with a string tied around one of their toes, and they'll throw the empty length of the string out their window while they sleep. And people riding by on their skates would pull the strings to wake the kids up to let them know it was time to go to church.
Oh,
that's
okay.
That's the tradition or whatever.
Oh,
pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, because that sounds about right.
Yeah, they'll wake up the kids.
Because like before clocks, there used to be people that would walk around.
Yeah, the what are they called? The heralds.
Yeah,
the heralds.
Yeah, so maybe it's something like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. In Norway, there is a legend that witches and other mischievous spirits arrive on Christmas Eve. So to deny the witches their preferred mode of transportation, some Norwegians will actually hide their brooms on Christmas Eve.
That's interesting.
They still do it to this day.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Very fascinating.
Yeah, that's very fascinating.
There was a weird folk magic that I heard about that people used to do back in the day, and I was asking my mom about it. My mom said her grandmother used to do it. They'll take women. It has to be the woman of the home, apparently, for this ritual to work. This very simple ritual. I think it's referred to as hedge magic, or folk magic. But anyway, it's kind of like a blessing. But what they'll do is they'll open the door, the front door, and the woman will sweep towards the door and just keep sweeping in one spot. And it's symbolic of sweeping all the negative out of the house so that only the positive remains.
That's funny because I was thinking about my grandma. My grandma had a lot of, and I don't know, it was a lot of, because I'm remembering a lot of stories, especially around this time of the year. I always remember Christmas stories that she said. And I remember her doing something like that.
Sweeping?
And she's Scandinavian.
But apparently, I just think it's fascinating that they hide the brooms to prevent evil, and then in other cultures they use the broom to prevent evil, which is
interesting.
Very interesting,
Yeah.
So moving on, and this is a really crazy one, and this is more modern, and this is in Japan. You know them Japanese, man.
Yeah.
I think Japanese people, I think they really love Americans. I
I think so too.
I think they're fascinated with us. I think they think we're crazy or something. I don't know. But KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, for those of you that aren't from America, Kentucky Fried, I think actually KFC is all over the world, isn't it?
I know it's in Japan.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely in Japan. Apparently, back in the 70s, KFC launched a marketing campaign in Japan where they offered these Christmas-themed, you know how they do the buckets?
The bucket.
They had like a cute little Christmas decorated bucket.
Okay.
And the Japanese people went nuts. They thought that was the coolest thing since peanut butter. And
That's
now,
funny.
on December 25th, up to 4 million Japanese people eat chicken, KFC, on Christmas.
Wow, it's one of their traditions. That's funny.
Yeah, they observe it as a tradition now. It caught on so well, and it continues to dominate today of them eating KFC on
I wonder
Christmas.
what Colonel Sanders would say.
I just thought that was fascinating.
It
because
is.
the Japanese people do like a lot of like little cute drawings and stuff. That's
Yes.
why there's so many characters and manga and Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
They like the cute little things, and they wear little, like the children will wear like cute little like they're like little keychains that they'll wear on their backpacks or on their little purses or
Yeah,
whatever.
embellish their backpacks.
Yeah, and
their...
boys and girls
Yes,
will wear them.
yes,
They're little cute little dangly things and stuff, little toys and stuff. So I guess that's why when they did the little bucket, the holiday bucket, man, they just went crazy for it.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on, and this is the last one. We're at the
Okay.
finish line, baby.
Okay.
Talking about all these different Christmases. In Sweden, Christmas was significantly upgraded in 1966 when somebody created a massive straw homage to a traditional holiday animal. It was called the Gale goat. Gale goat. Gala goat. But it's a goat.
Uh-huh.
And it's been a holiday staple ever since.
Wow.
1966. It stands more than 40 feet high, this goat.
Wow.
And weighs up to 3 tons, over 3 tons. It has become an unofficial and unsanctioned tradition for locals. And what they'll try to do, they'll try to burn it. They'll try to hit it with vehicles.
Wow.
They'll try to knock it over. They'll try to pull it apart. They try to sabotage this poor barn animal as part of their tradition. And it's inaugurated on the first Sunday of Advent every year.
Wow.
And they still do it to this day.
That's interesting.
Crazy how.
Yeah.
40-foot goat.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
So that pretty much does it, baby.
Yep.
What do you think?
I think it's cool. It's very interesting how some of these cultures, like near and far, right, have the similar symbols and and like, you know what I mean. And then you think about like what we do in America and stuff. And I love traditions. I love Christmas traditions. In I'm gonna really think about two people that have created traditions in our family. Your mom does the baby Jesus. We do the baby Jesus on
our
Christmas
family,
Eve, and
There you go.
yeah. And I'm sorry, but if this is just our family tradition. And then in my family, on my side of the family, my Aunt Mary, my sweet Aunt Mary, we celebrate, we do a birthday cake for baby Jesus on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And it's those type of traditions
Little things,
are
yeah.
just the little things. Like
Yep.
even like getting together and eating food like tamales, and we eat turkey chili with our tamales, and just and my Aunt Anita's cookies, and just those traditions are so beautiful. And I love that we did this show because it shows what the rest of the world does.
Yeah.
The rest of the world celebrates this time. It's the end of the year. We celebrate what has happened in the past, and we celebrate what's gonna come in the future. And it's interesting. So I really loved this show.
And feel free, if you're in the festive mood, if you have any of your own quirky or family traditions that you do during the holidays, we'd love to hear about it. And you know, we might talk about it on the show or whatever. I don't know. But I would just like to hear about it. I think it'd be interesting if you want to send them in.
Yeah, if you want to share your traditions and your Christmas spirit, send it our way.
So what happened with my family, with the nativity scene, is it was my grandfather's grandmother. So, and she's the one that bought it. So it's well over 100 years old. It was at a small ranch in Mexico. An old lady came to the door to sell the nativity scene, and my great-great-great-grandmother wanted to buy it. But the lady told her emphatically the only way she would sell it to her is if she promised to always leave it to the youngest of the family, that it would be handed down generation to generation to the youngest of the family. So my grandmother agreed and took the nativity scene inside, grabbed her purse, went outside to pay her. She was gone less than a minute, and the lady was gone. This old lady was gone.
Wow.
My grandmother walked all the way down to the main crossing, and she could look for blocks in every direction, and the lady basically just vanished.
Wow.
Into thin air. So it's always been speculated that perhaps it was an angel, because she didn't charge her for that nativity scene.
Nice.
So the thing is that my mom recently, because I guess the baby Jesus's hand got cracked from, it was like a tremor, one of the earthquakes, and the hand got damaged. So my mom took it to a woodcutter up here where we live. He took one look at it and said, "Oh wow, that's really, really old." And my mom said, "Yeah, it's been in our family for generations." And he said, "I can't fix this. It's never going to look the same because it's porcelain. It's wood covered in porcelain."
Oh.
So that's the story of our nativity scene. And
Did the baby Jesus tradition come from your mom or your grandparents?
my grandma was the one that used to do it. She would tell the story in Spanish. My mom would translate it for the rest of us.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't speak fluent Spanish. I only
Yeah.
speak a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Understand more of it than I do.
This
speak
story
it.
on how the nativity
Yeah.
came to the family.
Because it was my grandmother did it in the final years because my grandfather was gone. He died when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
So, but it was his grandmother. It was my grandfather's grandmother. I didn't know that. I thought it was my grandmother's grandmother.
Yeah.
But that about does it, baby. Thank you for listening. If you like the show, please take the time to review us. Doesn't have to be a long paragraph. Just help us get up the algorithms and help our show get a higher profile. And thank you for your continued support. And if you want to send in your stories, please do. We're looking into actually trying to figure out how to have people call us, record their messages on our phone, then be able to put it on the show that way. Because I think a lot of people would rather do that rather than record themselves. Kind of like do like a mini interview or whatever. But I don't know. We're just looking into it. But
We are not professional.
yeah. Yes. Definitely no.
We are just starting out and just having a good time and trying to figure things out. So please just bear with us. Please subscribe on our Facebook and our YouTube. And as always, thank you for listening. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yes, Merry Christmas.